listening to the Iterators of the Imperium.
Hi, I'm MEZ, and I'm here with my lovely co-host Ryan, and you're listening to Season 7, which means 7 in Latin. Yes, Ryan, I do actually remember that now.
Thank God I didn't.
On the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, the podcast in which Ryan is the expert on Warhammer 40k, and I am the noob, trying to learn about the Warhammer universe. Also, we really would like to hear from you guys, the listeners. So if you have any questions or any comments in general, you can now leave them for us on Spotify and, of course, on YouTube if you are one of the few watching on YouTube. But hey, pick up Spotify, gang. A lot of support over there.
Oh, hell yeah.
We do actually, we support that. But yeah, let's get into it. So Ryan, we are talking about some straight up Hunger Games shit right now.
Yeah. Warhammer 40k Child Hunger Games. Yeah, that's the gist. Although, if you win, instead of getting water, you get godlike powers. So, you know.
I mean...
Oh, and indentured servitude. I might add that as well. You also get indentured servitude.
Well...
But you get lied to about the indentured servitude as if that's not what it is. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lying in Warhammer. Who would have seen that coming? Ooh.
That's a first.
Betrayal in Warhammer is never a thing, right? Right. All right.
So, bit of a summary from last time. So last time, obviously, we covered this young boy Lewis's journey across the fucking salt wastes of Baal Secundus to get to Angel's Fall to take part in the recruitment trials for the Blood Angels.
Yes.
We've obviously since discovered his name is Lewis Dante, and once he becomes an angel, he will be Dante, which anyone who knows anything about Warhammer probably knows who Dante is already, but, you know, we'll get there one way or another.
Yeah.
So, they got to the trial grounds, they got checked over by the chaplain and the sanguinary priest to make sure they weren't, like, infected with something crazy or, you know, obviously not going to take to the gene seed or whatever else. And they chatted with them a bit, you know, and they all got separated up. Two of the groups got bumped out. One of the groups, Lewis's group, is ready to go forward. And his mate Florian, the boy that survived the journey here with him, because the other one fucking died, also got put into the same group. And then over the next 9 days, they just played games, but it was like Squid Game style stuff, where it's like physical challenges and things, but, you know, gradually along the way, the chaplain's going along and like tapping people, and whoever he taps is out. And over these 9 days of games, the 500 that had been chosen are whittled down to 247. So more than half of them are gone just from 9 days of playing games. And they've just been disqualified. No one's died, they're just disqualified. That's it.
Yeah, they're not fit to be
they've
champ.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They've clearly displayed some kind of traits in this period that made them unfit, right? So if you won a game and you were a total asshole to everyone else about the fact that you beat them, you're like, that's not a trait we want in one of the Blood Angels. Out. Or if you get really angry because you lose, or if you get really angry during a game as well, if you get way too heated, you're like, you don't have a fucking handle on yourself. Out. We can't give you godlike powers because you will not handle it well.
Yeah, wasn't that also kind of like where we left the story last time?
Yes.
He didn't win, but he still went through, right?
Yeah, he never won a single one of the the games they played over the 9 days.
But he didn't get.
But he never got kicked out. There was a bunch of people like that, obviously, because how many people can win the games, you know? But yeah, he never got kicked out. But it's on the 10th day that we're going to continue. So on the 10th day of all the games and stuff, a bunch of the blood thralls come out and they get them and they bathe them, or they make them bathe. They don't bathe them. They don't. A bunch of grown men do not bathe the children. I want to make that clear. The children are told to bathe and taken somewhere to do so. And then their heads are shaved. I assume the blood thralls actually did that part. And then they're given uniforms to put on. And all their belongings are taken away from them as well. Which, to be fair, isn't much by this point, because all of them had to use the glider to get here, and you can't carry a lot on the glider, so they've all left most of their shit behind anyway. But what little they did have...
It's money, right? They had a little bit of money.
They kept the money, they kept a little bit of water, and, you know, like maybe a small weapon or something in case they came off the glider and had to try and survive. So it was water to keep you alive, it was money in case you needed to pay for a way back home after failing at the trial, and a weapon to keep you alive while you made your way in case you came off the glider early, which, like, Lewis did, and he had water with him, which saved him, you know? But Lewis also had a shitload of money, as it turns out, which he didn't know. He had stolen a bunch of money from his dad when he left. But, like, he didn't, like, steal all of the dad's money. He stole, like, a string of credits, right? And he was like, yeah, that'll keep me buy me a meal or something. But you might remember I said that their clan was one of the richer ones, even though they lived in, like, squalor. But of the clans, they were quite rich. So he had no idea how much money he had. But it was when they get to the place that they do the gliding from, there's markets and stuff there, and he says to Florian, like, look, I'll go and buy us some food or something. And Florian's like, oh, have you got money? And he's like, yeah, and he pulls out a string of credits, and Florian's like, dude, you're fucking loaded, what the hell? What the fuck? So he's like, oh, okay. So he would have been fine regardless. But yeah, they get all of their shit taken off of them, including their clothes, obviously, because they're given a uniform. Heads are shaved, so they're all just like the same kid after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is kind of when the real trial begins, right? Because up until this point, it's kind of just been, like, obviously whittling down the numbers with whatever they can do to make their real personality show. 9 days of not getting to sleep or eat properly while doing these physical challenges will make your real personality, like, the worst parts of it show. You know what I mean? Because you'll be stressed, you'll be exhausted. The worst parts of you are going to come out during that kind of hang. But once they've been, you know, like, stripped and shaved and everything like that, I should say the reason that, like, it's the real trial now is because of a couple of things. One, they weren't given enough food or water that whole time, so they are exhausted and dehydrated and starving and everything like that. They're, like, led through the desert once they've been, like, changed into this uniform and everything, right? By the blood thralls. They're led through the desert, through the landscape and everything for days, right? It's like a big march. It's a 9-day march, I might add. So they've done 9 days of playing games, they get stripped and changed and everything, and then they get a 9-day march through, like, the wilderness of Baal Secundus, which they basically already did to get here in the first place, and they never really got a chance to recover, right? And as they're doing this 9-day march, again, not fed, not water drinking properly, they get, like, just enough to survive, a bunch of them just kind of keel over as they're walking. So, of, like, the 247 that left to, like, go on this march, like, a fair number of them are just, like, collapsed in the desert and left to die. Because, like, as they're walking, their body just gives up, and then that's it, everyone else just keeps going.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't have a strict number for how many make it past this point. I'm guessing about, like, 50 of them or something didn't. About 50 of them collapsed, I assume, so I think we're probably working with around 200 here that are left.
200,
yeah, but I don't have a strict number for that.
Can I add something to this, by the way? Just real quick. That whole survival area right now, I saw, this is, by the way, this is not Warhammer or anything, it's just like a real quick note.
Yep.
There's this rapper I saw on Instagram right now promoting his album where he has to run on a treadmill for 24 hours, and it has, if he fails, by the way, he will die, because there's like these live saws spinning around him, and this is a real thing. This is an exhibition.
What the fuck?
Yes, this is a real thing right now. So if he slows down or like falls or gives up right now, he's actually gonna, you know, fall into a big ass saw.
Jesus Christ!
So that's commitment. Right? Actually, that's
Yeah.
And his album is called Survival. So
you know what, right? We've made a lot of jokes about, like, Jeff Bezos and stuff being, like, you know, the Emperor and, like, starting the Mechanica on Mars and all that. You know what we never thought of, right? It's gonna be people like that and like Mr. Beast that lead us into this 40k bullshit. The next Mr. Beast challenge is gonna be this: survive the Blood Angels recruitment.
I just I just sent you the a link to it so you can see.
I'll need to give that a watch later. I need to have a look into that. It'll be good.
I mean, this is also good. If you're watching, listening right now, it's just Google it. It's quite interesting.
This is really dating this a little bit as well, because people are gonna be like, "Man, this was 2 months ago. What the fuck?"
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you don't know.
Look, you'll probably be able to look it up and find out that this rapper lost an arm or something. You know, like it'll be interesting. Have a look.
Origin story.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean, you could also figure it out right if it doesn't fit the story of today's episode.
It fits. It fits. That's very 40k. It very much fits.
It's just like, the saying, if they can't keep up, when they're walking in the desert, if they give up and just slow down, you're dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. Yeah, you get it. So yeah, eventually a reduced number of them, I don't know how many exactly, arrive at this like big ass crater with it's like a small fortress in it, like a barracks and stuff, right? And this is obviously like a trial ground for these kids. So they're taken in, and here they are greeted by the 2 blood angels that checked them over before. So this is the chaplain and the sanguinary priest. So medic and moral compass. They meet them again, and another group of aspirants also arrives. So they've been selected from somewhere else on the planet. So now the group is back up to about 500-ish, because the 2 groups have now merged. So Lewis's group has been joined by another group for this area, and the way it works is that they're going to be put into groups of 6, so like little squads, right? And it's going to be 3 from the original group and 3 from the other, like the new group that's arrived, to make a team of 6. That's what's going to happen. So Lewis stays with Florian, the kid he met on the way here, and he also gets a guy called Lawrence, who we did mention last time, but vaguely. He turned up at like the bit where they were going to do the gliders, and he was a pompous arsehole the whole time. And he kind of keeps meeting him, and the 2 of them kind of gradually grow to like each other while being cunts to each other. But it's these 3 team up with 3 from the other group to make a new team of 6. And basically they're going to do everything in these groups now. But this area is going to involve weeks of training as well as challenges to whittle down the numbers. So the kind of things they end up doing, right, it's tested in every possible way, right? So it's like sleep deprivation, forced to run in like blistering heat in the deserts. There's mock combats, there's mazes. It's anything and everything that they could do to push these kids to the limit, basically.
Yeah.
Eventually, the combined group of 500 drops down to about 300. Once they're at about 300, they're all given weapons. So it's crude training weapons, right? So like wooden weapons to begin with while they're training, and then eventually they go on to steel swords and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they're also trained with guns, but they're like spring-based guns, like air rifle type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the really old ones used to be done with like a spring. That's how they did it. So they're basically given like a high-powered BB gun. I think it's actually more like a crossbow. I think it fires like a crossbow bolt instead of a pellet, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely clear on it. It really isn't particularly important. But they're then trained with guns and stuff as well.
Yeah, it sounds like very much like Gladiator or AOT,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like that, yeah. Yeah. So they start getting some actual combat training around, like, in this kind of stage, once the numbers have been whittled down a bit. And they get actual weapons and stuff to carry around with them when they do these missions. And then you get another... They like 9 weeks, by the way. 9 weeks is a big thing. Everything's done in 9 weeks or 9 days. But you get 9 weeks of this kind of training and stuff where they're going through more of the trials, but now they involve a bit of combat and stuff. And eventually, again, numbers are getting whittled down more and more. And those who remained are called together after 9 weeks. And there's a fifth Blood Angel this time, right? Because obviously Dante's group has been seeing this same chaplain and this same sanguinary priest over and over again. But when the other group arrived, they had a chaplain and a sanguinary priest. So now they've been dealing with the four of them this whole time. After this 9 weeks of combat training, basically, a fifth one turns up when they address them, and they're like, who the fuck's this guy? This is Master Verono, right? He is the Master of Recruits and the 10th Company Captain. So he is... Or, the 10th Company is called the Redeemers, but the whole point of this is that if you pass the selection process and become an actual neophyte to the chapter, and so you're actually in now, you go into the 10th Company. That's where you do your training and stuff. So he is going to be their captain if they are successful going forward. So that's why he's here to address them. It's important that they know who they're going to work under once it looks like they might actually work under him,
Yeah.
And the reason he's here is to explain, the last trial of this bit, right? So what's going to happen is, it's like the second last test, the penultimate test, whatever you want to call it. And it's called the Trial of War. And it's testing them as warriors for the first time properly. It explains what's going to happen, right? Essentially, what's going to happen is there's going to be this challenge where it's like an old Halo capture the flag map, where there's an island and it's got two little forts on it, and each one has a skull in it. And the idea is that there's going to be two teams of 16 kids, and each one's job is to protect their own skull and claim the skull of the other team. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, right, so tonight you'll be fed and you'll be watered and everything properly, and then tomorrow morning you'll all go out and do that. It'll be 3 rounds of two teams going up at a time. Right? That's it. So two teams will go first thing in the morning, 2 at midday, 2 in the evening. That'll be it. Done. So everyone kind of eats and showers and, rests as best they can to get ready for the next day. And they wake up and they load up with their gear, and I think they're fed again properly. This is the first time they're being fed properly, I might add. They've been given just enough to survive them until this point. This time they're fed properly. So yeah, they load up with their gear and they get themselves ready and they all go out. And then they draw numbers for the teams that are going up. And Lewis's team doesn't go first. Right? Second round comes around, and they see the kids from the first one coming back, and they're all beaten and bleeding and bruised and clearly worn out from the whole thing, clearly much worse off for it. And they're like, I hope to God we're up next, because fuck that. No, Lewis's team's left. They're going to be last. He's like, fuck. And this time he sees them come back, and there's only 4 kids from one of the teams comes back. What the fuck? And the other team are all hacked to bits in that, but they won. So shit's getting rough. And then finally it comes Lewis's turn, and they get put on the island, and they're basically just go. Right? So they both teams scatter to 1-4, right? So Lewis's team has been teamed up with 2 others, so it's 18 kids, not 16, sorry. So it's 3 teams of 6 that have been put together. So Lewis still has Florian and Lawrence with him, but he's also got these new kids that he's known for 9 weeks now, and been training with, and all that. And they have to pick a leader for their team. This is a thing. They're told this by Verono, right? Because he's the one leading this whole thing. He's like, you have to pick a leader, and then you have to figure out what you're going to do. And there's a really big kid in the other team who basically just decides he's leader, no matter what. So they now know who they're up against, but they don't have a leader chosen for their team yet. And a bit of argument comes up, and it's Florian and Lawrence are basically just going, Lewis should lead us. And then one of the other groups is like, nah, this guy will lead us, he's much better. And they argue for a bit, and basically Lewis is just correcting everything this guy says for a while, which is really funny. He's like, nah, the guy leading the other team's a brute, he's going to run at us head first. So he's going to leave no one to defend their fort. So if we try to work on defense, we're going to get overpowered. So we need to attack, not defend, and get a strategic advantage. And they argue and argue and argue, and eventually Lewis is like, you know what, right? You keep 11 of them here to defend, and I'll take the others as a wee strike force. And he makes sure to take Florian with him, because Florian's fucking fast. This kid is fast on his feet. And what they do is they, like, snake their way through all these, like, trenches in the island to get to the fort, and they realise the guy's only left, like, 4 people to defend it. So Florian and the others all do, like a distraction technique where they act like they're just assaulting the fort. And Lewis has Lorenz, like, give him a foot up to, like, lift him over the wall of the fort. He, like, shoots one of the kids in the eye and, like, drops him to the ground and ties him up. And then manages to, like, get the drop on the other ones while they're attacking his guys outside and makes them all drop their weapons. So they take the fort and the skull, and they're like, right, but that means he sent, like, 14 kids to go ransack our place, so they're definitely winning that fight. So, like, alright, we'll just ambush them at their own fort. So they all just, like, wait on the walls with their guns ready, and as soon as they see the other team coming back, holding, like, Lewis's team's skull, they just unleash hell on them. Just start gunning them down. So they actually end up with both teams' skulls, and having not killed anyone, which is pretty good. So Lewis's team wins the contest, which is pretty great. The losers are kicked out, by the way. You have to actually win this contest. That's an important thing with this one. It's not like the games at the start, where it didn't matter if you won or not. No, you have to win these ones.
Yeah,
but obviously,
it's the winner out.
Yeah, but obviously Lewis has shown great, like, commander skills here, you know?
Leadership.
Yeah, leadership skills. That's the fucking word. He's showing great leadership here, which is good, because a lot of what they're looking at here is not just, like, it's not just, are you suitable to be one of us? It's, what position can you fill? How can you help us once you are one of us? So, Lorenz is, no, Lawrence, Verono is going to go back knowing that if this kid comes through, he has what it takes to be a sergeant or whatever, you know? So it's important to know these things, because he might at the same time be like, alright, well, Florian is going to be a hell of a scout. I know that. He's going to be great for recon and whatever else. Lawrence is a bit more like a brute instrument, you know, from the way he's done everything. So maybe he'll be good as, like, a breacher or something, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it's all about information gathering as much as it is who wins and who fails.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after having succeeded in this whole thing, they are given 9 days, again, I don't know why it's always 9, to recover and, you know, rest. Right? They just get to chill the fuck out for a bit. And at the end of it all, there's only 72 aspirants remaining, obviously, because it's only the ones that won the game. And they're all gathered together, and one by one they're taken into, like, the keep of this fortress by the angels. And this is meant to be, like, the last trial, the last challenge kind of thing. And Lewis has to watch as a bunch of people get pulled away. Florian goes up before him and everything. And towards the end, eventually he gets pulled up. And he's like, I have to psych myself up for this, because he doesn't know what it is, you know? He has no idea. He's never seen anyone come back out that's went in. So he's like, maybe it's a win or die kind of thing. But he doesn't know, so he's just trying to prepare for anything, really. And once he gets inside, the Blood Angel that's leading him is like, oh, here, I wanted to give this back to you. And he hands him the staff that he had brought with him from, like, his dad's caravan. And he's like,
Yeah?
what the fuck? Where the fuck did you get this? Because he had to abandon it, like, before the glider thing. So he's like, you guys have been watching us this whole fucking time. What the fuck? Like, you guys have been watching us, like, the entire time. You guys knew before I did that I was coming here. Like, what the fuck? And he's like, well, wait, he's like, do you want to know why I'm giving it back to you? And he's like, well, sure, yeah, why are you giving it back to me? And he's like, because I thought you might want, like, a familiar weapon. I was like, what the fuck? He's like, well, you might die here, so I thought you'd want a familiar weapon in hand. What the fuck? Because he doesn't have any of, like, his gun or his sword or anything. He's just been given a wooden staff that he had to begin with. So he's like, alright. And then he's led inside this room, and inside is Florian. And he's told that his final trial, his final test, is to kill Florian. They both have been tasked with killing each other. Because they've known each other for so long, and they get along so well, they've been tasked with killing each other. So whoever kills the other gets to go to Baal. That's the gimmick here. And
Yeah.
like Lewis is obviously immediately devastated, right? Because this is like his first friend he's made on this journey. They've done the whole thing together, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to hurt him. But Florian is a lot more desperate, so he makes the first move. He fucking goes for him with everything he's got, and Florian fights desperately, but Lewis has just became the better fighter during their training. Just simply put, he is just better. So while Florian's like throwing all of his power into everything he does, he's not thinking very much. But Lewis is patient and he like finds ways through his guard and things. He's, you know, cold and calculated about it. And eventually he breaks Florian's elbow and knocks him to the ground and like prepares to just end him by like doming him basically. He's gonna crush his skull with a staff. And why he kind of like pauses, he kind of like hesitates for a bit, and the Blood Angel behind them's like, "No, do it, fucking do it!" Like, stop pushing out, kid. And Lewis like is like, "What the hell kind of an angel would tell me to kill my friend? What the fuck?" Angels don't do this shit. So he refuses to kill him. And he's like, even if it means throwing away my chance to become an angel, I'm not fucking killing him. Fuck this. Yeah. And he tells Angel that he will not become a traitor just to serve the Emperor. He doesn't care about glory, but he will have no part in evil. He's like, killing my friend would be evil, because he's done nothing to deserve this. He is not evil. And the Angel's like, well done, you passed the test. So the trick here, right? Because you hear that and you're like, oh, so the trick was they weren't actually meant to kill each other because they're not, you know, they're not enemies. No, actually, that's not the trick here. The trick is so much worse. The trick here is that Florian was never in the running to become a Blood Angel. His reasons for doing it were skewed to begin with. Remember, he has skin cancer. The only reason he wanted to become a Blood Angel was so he could survive. That's it.
Yeah.
Pure survival. That's all he was doing it for, which is the wrong reason, because it means in any situation he'll prioritize his survival over protecting others or whatever else. They only let him go on so long through this so that he could be Lewis's challenge, which is so scummy.
That's so mean, you know?
I know. Oh, God.
You get it, it's it. That's holy shit.
Yeah. So Lewis is given a final choice here, right? Because he's passed everything now. He is ready to roll. So the Blood Angel system is like, look, you've got a final choice. You can become an angel, join the Brotherhood. You can become a blood thrall if you want, be a slave for whatever reason. Or you can die. Pick one. And Lewis is like, angel, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it'd be kind of insane not to choose that, but whatever. So, after, you know, this whole thing's done, Lewis is taken with the other successful aspirants onto a Thunderhawk gunship and then taken away from his homeworld. He's taken off of Baal Secundus, right? Because they're going to Baal now, that's the whole thing. Because that's where the actual training is done. Obviously, he struggles with the whole going through atmosphere and things like that, passes out a little bit and stuff like that. But, you know, whole thing. I should say, there's 2 ships coming from each planet going to the Arx Angelicum, which is the Blood Angel's fortress, right? So there's 2 ships from Baal Secundus, 2 from Baal Primus, and 2 from Baal itself, all going to this place. So there's 6 groups of them all joining together as successful aspirants. So once they, you know, make it to the Arx Angelicum, they land and they exit into this big hangar, and this is the first time they kind of see what the shit is going to be really like, because standing before them are 45 Blood Angels in full panoply of war, like head to toe in armor, bolters and everything. And these are 5 Battle Brothers from each of the 10 companies, except from the 10th company. So you've got 5 from the 1 through 9, basically. Waiting to meet the aspirants as like an honor for them, as like a sign of respect. and they lead them further inside. This is a thing they do. It's a tradition. 5 brothers from each company meet the new aspirants and lead them to their first kind of thing that they do. So they're led down through the kind of stairs that are through the kind of levels of the Arx Angelicum, and they get through this big massive courtyard further in, and they basically get led to this really, really ornate but small chapel. It's all like silver and gold and jewels and fine artwork and statues of Sanguinius everywhere and shit like that. And the first thing they're going to do is meditate for 3 days. They get a chance to go to the bathroom and to have a drink of water and eat something first, but then they've got to meditate for 3 days in this chapel. And there's a rule here, because you can still be kicked out. You're not a successful aspirant yet, interestingly. You're still doing tests. Right? This is still a test, which is such bullshit. So the rules are they have to meditate for 3 days and nights, non-stop. They are not allowed to move, fall asleep, or talk. If they do any of those things, they're out. For 3 days. So as you can imagine, they're all like... They're cool with no food, right? And no water. Because these kids, like, grew up on the irradiated hellscape moons. So, like, no food and no water for 3 days is a typical Wednesday through Friday for these kids. You know what I mean? Right, so they're fine with that. It's the no sleep part that's the problem. Because they've been doing a lot of shit for months now. They're fucking exhausted, these kids. And to be fair, a bunch of them do start falling asleep. It's around day 3, like the start of day 3, that kids start falling asleep and then being dragged out kicking and screaming while they beg for another chance. And Lewis ends up hallucinating around this point as well. His mind's going all over the fucking place from exhaustion. He keeps seeing the chapel fade away into darkness, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he tries to center himself again, and this goes on, and he loses total track of time and everything because his mind's all over the fucking place. And eventually, Lewis feels as if he drifts off to sleep. Right, he sees everything kind of fade to darkness. He feels like he's just fallen asleep, and he kind of panics a little bit. But I'm pretty sure this is just a hallucination again. Just so you know. I don't think he didn't actually fall asleep. I'm pretty sure he's just hallucinating again. But in a really weird way. Either way, what he sees is that he's back on Bal Secundus with his mum and his dad. And his dad's holding his mum, but he's clearly upset. And the mum's like, look, you're an angel now. Fucking spread your wings, fly. Rise to the occasion kind of shit. It's encouraging words from mum. And then behind them, he sees this big, golden armored figure flying again. And actually, I have a picture of this now. It's this big fucker here. And then he sees this kind of flying through the sky. And then he feels a hand on his shoulder. And he's suddenly back in the chapel. And he looks. And it's this fucker standing over him with his hand on his shoulder. And then he kind of feels himself become kind of revitalized, energized, he's got a bit of a adrenaline rush kind of thing to keep him going from this. And then as quickly as it appeared, it's gone. And he now sees that it's not that standing over him, it's one of the Blood Angels who tells him he was successful. Mm-hmm. So he's like, what the fuck was that? But he's passed the trial.
Yeah. I'll just wait quickly add that's twice.
No.
Yeah, twice now he's seen this fucker. So, bit weird,
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he passed?
Yeah. 57 of them passed that trial in total. 57 of the 86, I think it was, that got here passed this trial. So a fair number fell asleep. I feel like one of them maybe just sneezed and was bollocks. I was like, out. I mean, chapel's got to be dusty, surely. So the actual last trial is next, right? They're done lying to them about how many trials are. The actual last one is next. It's the trial of insanguination. And I want to make this clear, it's insanguination, not exsanguination. Right? They're giving him blood, not taking it away. It's very important.
Okay.
Right? Cool. Very easy to misunderstand. It's an important but subtle difference. You give blood, you don't steal it. So this is a whole ritual thing here that everyone's really excited about, right? So the 57 aspirants are laid down into this dark chamber at the bottom of the Arx Angelicum for the sake of this ritual, because it's where they always do it. And it's this big dark room, and in the centre is this big-ass statue of Sanguinius and all this shit. And the Sanguinary High Priest, so the boss of the Merrics, comes out, and he like explains what's going on, that... So... There's a whole ritual to this, that they're going to give them all the blood of Sanguinius because it activates the gene seed, right? Drinking the blood of Sanguinius is how the first genetic changes are introduced to their aspirants. This has always been the case. So he, like, produces this, like, crazy relic cup that the blood of Sanguinius was caught in as it fell after the whole... Well, every time he's ever been injured, they tried to catch his blood in this fucking thing, I'll be honest with you. They just love catching his blood in this cup, but the whole point is this is the cup they caught his blood in, and they use it to do the whole ritual with aspirants. I will explain, right, because there's a weird thing goes on here, right? Because to fill the cup, what they do is, all of the sanguinary priests in the room cut themselves and bleed into the cup. And then a bunch more look over and they do the same thing. That's how they fill it, right?
Okay.
But there's an explanation here, because that's really weird, because they keep saying the blood of Sanguinius, right? And obviously, they are all his kids, in some sense, in a genetic sense, so his blood runs in their veins. But there's an important detail here, right? So, back in the day, right, when Sanguinius was around, he actually filled the cup from his own blood to get them a drink from it, to activate their gene seed, right?
Yeah.
Once Sanguinius died at the whole Horus thing, that couldn't possibly happen anymore, right? Because he was dead. There is a finite amount of blood now. So to get around this, it's now a tradition that all of the sanguinary priests are injected with some of Sanguinius's blood, so that they carry his actual blood in theirs. So when they all bleed into this cup, part of it is actually Sanguinius's blood. That's the gimmick here. So that's like a tradition they carry on now, but that's why they do it with a sanguinary priest. Just so you know. Because times have changed since Sanguinius died a little bit. They've also forgotten a lot of shit about what was going on back when Sanguinius died, which is weird, because basically every one of them was there for it, which is strange. You gotta remember, the whole Red Thirst and Black Rage, they literally have the guy's memories, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at any given time, it's a possibility they will literally become Sanguinius. They have his memories in their head. So it's weird that they don't remember a lot of the shit about what went on back then. But they don't.
It's also like, they couldn't be asked to just like write something down.
That's also a good point, yeah. The annoying thing is that the only chapter that wrote anything down was the goddamn Thousand Sons, because they wrote down fucking everything.
Yeah.
And how did that work out for
Bookworm.
fucking nerd?
Nerd.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I think that was the World Eaters to the Thousand Sons, because the World Eaters are total jocks.
Well.
Yeah, so anyway, the whole point is they're all now going to have to drink from this fucking cup, right? And, you know, one by one they're taken up and told to drink from it. And eventually Lewis goes up and he drinks from it, and it totally fucks him over, because now his genetics are changing, right? So his vision's all stained red, and like his teeth feel weird, and he's dizzy, and eventually he just passes out. This dude just conks out on the floor. Which, to be fair, that happens to basically all of them. Because your body does not like being genetically fucked with. It's just a thing. And so, once they're asleep, the aspirants are put into like a sarcophagus to keep them alive and stuff. So it's like a medical bed, but they're sealed in, filled with blood, this whole thing. Yeah. And the only question now really is, do they wake up as like a space marine or as a feral monster? Because that's a thing that can happen here.
Yeah.
So while Lewis is asleep, Lewis dreams of essentially the entire Horus Heresy. Because now he actually has Sanguinius's memories. So he's like dreaming, but basically living them out, which is crazy. So it's like the galaxy is torn in half by fucking like civil war between brothers. Emperor's sons are all battling each other. Space Marines are fighting like brother Space Marines and cousin Space Marines. This whole thing, right? Shit's all over the fucking place. And like he even goes from like being Sanguinius first, like crawling out of the crater when he landed on Bal Secundus with his tiny little wings and stuff, to like the next second he's like fighting the fucking Balrog over the fucking Imperial Palace and shit like that. Like it's a whole thing.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, aye. It's also incredibly stressful, I would imagine. There's also there's a point when you literally have someone else's memories where I think you start forgetting which one you are. So he has this whole thing where for a while he's like 100% sure he's Sanguinius, but he's also 100% sure he is Lewis. It's weird. Shit gets really weird for him in there. Eventually he just wakes up in this sarcophagus freaking the fuck out because it's like full of blood and he's got like a mask on and so like needles stabbed into him all over the place. And he like starts tearing them out like fucking Wolverine and like batters his way out of the sarcophagus. Mm-hmm. And he like falls to the floor when he gets out because it's like slanted at a weird angle. And like he wakes up, or no, he kind of like starts to come to his senses because he's still a bit freaked out at the start. But he like comes to his senses while he's on the floor, and he realizes there's two blood angels over him, talking about him, because they assumed he was gonna be feral because he was freaking out so much. They're like, another one, get ready to shoot him in the head. But it turns out he's not feral, so it's fine.
Well then.
Yeah. This is a really weird moment for him, right? Because he finds out a couple of really strange things. One is that he is now, like, 8 feet tall and built like the Hulk. And also he's been in there for a year.
Right.
Yeah. So this is another good time to explain something weird about the Blood Angels in particular, right? Because we've explained how you become a Space Marine before, and it's usually you go through whatever recruitment trials there are for that chapter, and then once you're successful, you're gradually put into surgery to have the new organs implanted, and usually the gene seed is one of the last ones, right?
Yeah. And
that'll usually happen when you're a little bit older. So this whole thing will start when you're like 10, and then at the age of like 15, you'll get the gene seed or something like that, right? And so on and so forth. And the idea is that your body grows into developing these new organs as like a stable part of them kind of hang, and it doesn't like kill you in the process, right? Blood Angels are a bit different. Rather than doing it the safe way, they do it the crazy way. Because drinking the fucking blood is like the first part that activates the gene seed, and it's an important part because it's the bit that can make you go feral. And it basically knocks you out for God knows how long until your body figures out what the fuck is going on with it. Or you go feral, one or the other. They were like, well, if they're going to be out for like 2 months anyway, we may as well just do the surgery and keep them out for longer, So as soon as this kid was out cold on the floor of that first room after drinking the blood, they were like, into the surgery room, just ram the gene seed inside and like his body can figure that one out. And then like within the next like month or two, they just kept cutting him open and like bolting in new parts. Like, alright, it's been 2 weeks that he's been unconscious. Get the second heart ready. So, alright, third lung, get that in there. Like, that's what they were doing. So, he's got all but one organ already implanted into him, and his body's already, like, had to just figure it out while he was unconscious. So, it's such, like, a brute force barbarian way of doing this. So, it's fine detailed gene therapy, right, and biochemistry, and like every chapter is like, we know, we get it, and the Blood Angels are like, nah, just ram it in. Be fine. With enough painkillers, he will survive anything. So yeah, they really take a brute force approach to gene therapy.
A little bit. A little bit.
Little bit. But it means that this kid fell asleep after drinking a cup of blood and then woke up a year later, like 4 feet taller and built like a tank. Because he like has the body of a space marine now all of a sudden. He's like, what the fuck? So he has this moment of dissonance where he's like staring at a mirror like, who the fuck? Oh, it's me, right. The fuck. And over the next while, he keeps like walking into stuff and just accidentally destroying it because he like has no idea how strong he is. And I think this is a good place to leave off for today because now he is actually a blood angel. For the record, from this point on, no one calls him Lewis anymore. They all refer to him as Dante. It's Dante once and for all now. But yeah, now we get into like the training aspect of it and how he because he has to go into the scout corps now to do his like training and stuff to earn the last organ, which is usually how it's done. To be fair, that is the whole point of Space Marine Scouts, is you have to earn the last organ. But yeah, I reckon this is a good place to leave off for today.
Alright, do you want me to round it out?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Iterators of the Imperium season. Sim. It's been me, MEZ, alright? We'll catch you in the next one. Take care and peace.
Bye.